Okay, a few videos back I was showing shop art, junk, old tractors, and I did a short clip of what was inside my shed. This is the Green Bean. This is the grandkids tractor. I rescued this out of a cow pasture up in Buckley, Washington, 10 or 12 years ago. My little grandson Liam was brand new, and you know, Grandpa had to get some kind of a tractor to commemorate the arrival of Liam. He's going to be 11 here in a couple of weeks. This poor thing, it had been abandoned in the fence row. You know, the grass was almost as tall as the hood. Didn't have any rear tires on it. It had a wheelbarrow tire on the front, which was flat. Well, you know, I saw the ad on Craigslist and the guy described it, and at the end of the ad it said perfect for grandchildren. So of course that got me. So I went over, looked it over, bought it, brought it home, and started the refurbishment. The old Briggs & Stratton ZZP engine from the 30s or 40s, it was beyond shot. It was done. And so I did a little scrounging around, and I was on eBay one day. Lo and behold, this guy up in Minnesota, he had this little 6-horse Briggs at a very reasonable price, and it had this let me get around the other side, you might see a little better. It had this 6.5 to 1 gear reduction unit on it, which was perfect for what I wanted, because the fabric cobbled gear reduction that was associated with the old Briggs ZZP that was on it well, let's just say it needed a lot of work, and all homemade and broken welds. And I thought, well, this gear reduction unit solves the whole problem, simplifies it. And so I bought it, and it arrived, and put it on the bench, clamped it down, made sure it had gas and oil, and it fired right up, ran beautiful. I had to do a little carb adjustment. So the final drive arrangement on this thing, move around the other side again, sorry, shaky cam, bad clips. Final drive arrangement, you come off a sprocket off the back of the gear reduction unit, and it comes down to this larger sprocket here, and which is attached to the input shaft on the transmission. There's a pressure plate, clutch disc is inside, remains of a bell housing. This thing is mostly 37 Ford. And so we transfer power, you know, back. There's that 37 Ford transmission, that's the one for the smaller flathead V8. Boy, you wouldn't believe how many times guys have approached me at tractor shows and stuff trying to buy that transmission off of me, because it, you know, the 85 horsepower flathead V8 is kind of common. I guess the 65 horse one's a little rarer, and this transmission goes with that smaller flathead V8. You Ford guys watching would know more about that than me. Well, anyway, we transfer power back to this transmission. Of course, it didn't have the old Ford enclosed driveline, but then it comes on back to the Ford differential, which has been, and the rear axle has been cut down and welded back up. Still has the old mechanical brakes on it. And so anyway, I'm running all over the map with my story here. I fabric cobbled this little drawbar on it, put a little toolbox on it. The brakes weren't stuck, but I only got brakes on one side. Boy, the sun is bright today. It's got this brake pedal here, goes to a cable straight back to the backing plate. So what I'm going to do, I got to rig up a block back here to from here to the block, and then from the block I'll have cables running to each rear brake, and that'll make it a little easier. Although this thing doesn't go very fast. I mean, it's walking speed in high gear. I changed this sprocket out to a larger sprocket because I had a smaller one on there, but a little too fast for grandkids. You know, you go dropping this single front tire in a chuck hole in third gear flying along, you're gonna roll this thing. So I changed the gear ratio by swapping sprockets, slowed it down. Kind of sucks when you're in a parade because you hold everybody up, but I'm kind of famous for that anyway. And but it's a lot safer for the grandkids to putt around on, and they love this thing. I mean, you know, they drive the heck out of it. And I got a little John Deere trailer that hooks on the back. Of course, it's got flat tires right now, which I've got to take care of. You can see my video titled Flat Tires, and you'll know what that's all about. So anyway, this is mostly 37 Ford. Ford transmission, Ford rear end, Briggs power plant. It's got an old Chrysler steering box tucked up under the hood here, and that's what steers the thing. I got a steering wheel off of old Ford 8, and I didn't have a steering wheel on it when I got it. And but you know, it's just a fun little rig. I think whoever built this, although the welds look like I welded it up, they did a pretty good job. They put some thought into this thing. And whoever built this, I think, did a scaled down version of a John Deere Model G, I think. Maybe an A, but I'm thinking G. So for perspective, there's the Ford 8N behind it. And maybe that's not such a good representation. But I mean, this thing is, I mean, it's basically a garden tractor. It's not big. But it's got surprisingly good power with that gear reduction engine on it, and then going through all that Ford drivetrain. I had a big old mesquite tree out here that I cut down a couple years ago, and I dug the stump out by hand. I'm getting too old for that stuff. Well, anyway, that stump was heavy, and I grabbed onto it with a chain and hooked it up to this little rascal, because it's before I had the Ford here or the Gibson, and that thing drug it around to the burn pile just fine. Didn't even spin the tires, and there's no weights on this thing, no ballast in those rear tires, and it did just fine. And I picked these rear tires up at a swap meet a few years back. The guy that I bought this from, there was no tires on it, just the rims, and he had a couple old severely weather checked old bias ply pickup truck tires, 616 I think, that he just gave to me, which I had on this for a while, and it did okay. You know, you get into slick grass, it spin like crazy. But then I found these rear tires at a swap meet and got them for a good price. So now they're on here, and everything works good. It's a fun little rig. Let's go for a ride. Even got a authentic hand clutch like a John Deere. All right. Sorry, shaky cam. Oh, come on now. Big for this thing. This is a kid's tractor. local tractor club, Power from the Past. It's branch 240 of the early days Gas Engine Tractor Association National Club. We're going to do the parade at El Dorado Days in Tombstone. So I get this thing out and I hook up the little cart to it, then I get a bright idea. I made a couple of cardboard signs in letter stenciling and painted Uber on the signs, mounted to each side of the side rails on the little garden cart, strapped a lawn chair in the back, and man, did the people love that. I was getting whoops and cheers, and I wish I would have videoed that, and I didn't. For some inexplicable reason, I didn't get a picture of this thing with the Uber sign. Somewhere on Facebook, somebody took a picture of me in the Benson, Arizona 4th of July parade, because I did the same thing then. And so that wound up on Facebook, and you could see me going by with the Uber and the lawn chair, and old Baxter Black, the cowboy poet. If you don't know who that is, Google him. Well, he lives in Benson, Arizona, and he was standing on the sidewalk with the crowd as I come by, and with his big cowboy hat, his big old handlebar mustache. He was cracking up, you know, and just had enjoyed that. So, yeah, that was a lot of fun. So the guy that built this, he welded the pressure plate to the end of the input shaft. And sorry, that's kind of shady. You'll have to forgive me. I'm shooting this with our little Canon camera. All my other videos I've posted so far, I've used my phone. But I'm experimenting with this camera to see if the video quality is any better. You guys have to let me know in the comments. And sorry, you know, if the shots are too close or too far away. I'm still figuring this thing out. But you can see this thing kind of waving back and forth. Well, he just eyeballed it when he welded it on there. And that clutch is now just about worn out from uneven wear because of that. So I'm going to pull this apart, replace the clutch and disc and all of that, and gingerly grind that off the input shaft. And when I put it back together and re-weld that back on, I'm going to hook a dial indicator to this cross member here and dial indicate that in. So, I mean, it adds to the character, you know, but if you look at it long enough, it'll either hypnotize you or make you seasick. I'm going to cut this off. Thanks for watching, guys, and hope you enjoyed this. And like I say, sorry for the poor camera work. Let me know if it's grainy or, you know, shots are too close, too much sun, all that stuff. Because I'm new to this. I'm still working this out. But have a good day. Enjoy Labor Day tomorrow. Want to remember what that day is all about. All the hard-working men and women who built this country, made it what it is. And we want to honor them tomorrow for all their hard work. So thanks again. We'll see you guys on the next one.